welcome back to I Only Listen to 90s Music. As we had told y'all beginning of the year, we're going to be doing way more interviews this year. We have my man Ian Chen from Discotech. What is Discotech, you may ask? You can get all your club stuff, all your festivals, maybe a couple random Zodiac lounges for all my St. Louis people. Maybe he has access to those for bottle service. I don't even know they do bottle service as Zodiac Lounge, but Ian may be able to get you that.
Hella wristbands.
Hella wristbands. There we go. Hella wristbands. Hella wristbands. So Ian Chen, man, thank you for coming on. I Don't Listen to 90s Music, man.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, let's start out. So, like, how did this whole concept come about, pulling this app together for you all?
Yeah, so we started Discotech about 12 years ago, and the inspiration really came to like me and my co-founder from like the customer's perspective. So we were a couple of guys in our mid-20s going to Vegas, trying to get into a nightclub with our friends. And we actually had a really shitty experience working with like a human promoter who like basically fleeced us. Like he told us, okay, I can get you into the club, and, it'll be this much money. You'll get a table, you and your friends, your girls, you can all get in. So we show up that night to, said club in Vegas, and they're like, no, that's not the price. It's going to be double the price.
What?
Yeah. And it's like midnight. And I think a lot of people have had this experience where they're like told one thing and then charged something else at the door. And it's too late, like it's too late to go somewhere else. Like you're there. So like we all looked at each other, we're like, damn, okay, we got to do it. So we paid it. And we remember that night in the club was like the vodka tasted worse. Like everything was worse that night because like we all just felt like we got like hosed, and we did. And so that was like we were like thinking like, there's got to be a better, more reliable way to like as customers to go out. And at the time, there were no mobile apps or websites that were really like solving this problem for like me as a customer. And so we went out and me and my co-founders, we quit our jobs and just went for it. And, 12 years later, we're a much bigger company than, we started as.
So you said you guys quit your job. So like what industry were you in before you started Discotech?
Yeah. So me personally, I was like a suit. So I started my career as a consultant at a company called Bain & Company. And then I actually was working at a private equity firm, like doing like due diligence for looking at like companies to buy and sell. Two of my co-founders were software developers. And then our fourth guy was a digital marketing guy. So like growing apps. He was working at like a dating app.
Right. Oh, wow. Well, so the highlight is that the people that you're working with actually knew what they were doing, right? So it's not like, like one guy was chef, another guy, did lawnmower service stuff. And then, so at least you had people who had some kind of background in what you were trying to do next.
Yes and no. Like none of us knew anything about the nightlife game, which was like the industry we were trying to get into. Like we didn't know how
because that's what I was gonna ask. Like which one of y'all were like the more social or just more outgoing, knew about the nightlife.
Yeah, I mean, like I knew a little bit about nightlife from just like clubbing and going to festivals and like drinking a lot. But I didn't know how like the operations or like the business side of things worked. We figured that out like, in the first few years of doing the stuff, and none of the four of us had any like startup experience. So, I mean, believe me, like we fumbled around. We made a lot of mistakes the first like 3 years. Like we made very, very, very little money. Like we were all living together in the same, the same rental and like eating ramen all the time, being broke. But then,
that's my life right now.
Like things started to click in like year 3 and 4. And then we've just been like hustling and trying things and making more mistakes and then sometimes getting things right. And that's the cycle.
What was your first event?
Our first event. So, we partner with clubs, right? So they're the ones throwing the event. We're just like the event discovery platform where people can go to like see the events and like book tables, buy tickets, and get free guest lists, so free entry to these clubs. Our first big events were in San Francisco, which is where we started the company. But then a year later, we were like, dude, San Francisco's not like a great nightlife town. Like it's kind of small. So we moved to LA, and then we started to get a little more traction in LA, much bigger clubs, much more of a bottle popping scene. And then in like year 3, we moved to like Las Vegas, and we lived there for a year. And Vegas ended up being like our mecca for nightlife, and that's by far our biggest market today. So it's like a really good thing that we did that, because without Vegas in our portfolio, you know, we probably never would have made it.
So with the name Discotech, like it gives that kind of like retro vibe, right? Of like, you know, thinking about going to the discotheque back in the 70s.
I thought about the Johnny Taylor song, move it in, move it out.
Disco lady.
Like discotheque, right? Even just thinking about like first year Spanish, right? And you're learning like those words. So like what was like, was that intentional to have that retro vibe? Was it intentional? Like it was like, okay, we're gonna play on this game, this word, like, you know, the verbiage of the using the term disco and then tech, TCK. So like, what does that reflect your identity? Like how did that come about? Just the name of the company?
Yeah, it took us a while to come like to this name, and there were like a few other candidates that were like right up there, but we like Discotech because, you know, it means like club in like Spanish, and like a bunch of European countries, like Discotech means club.
Right.
And like when people think disco, you know, they think party, right? Like, you know, people like, you know, old people, young people, disco is like party. And tech, you know, because we're a tech company, like at the end of the day, we're a mobile app company, we're a web company. So like we figured like the merging of that was like perfect. And, you know, looking back, I'm pretty glad we went with that name.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, like I said, just like I said, with first year Spanish, that's a word that you learn, right? Like you learn discotheque or biblioteca. We all know, like, donde está la biblioteca? You know nothing. You're going to know how to ask someone how to get to the library, and it will help you at some point in your life. So in terms of like your like features, right? So from the beginning, you had the first, rough couple of like first years, but like, I guess like for our listeners, like, can you walk us through what like some of the main features are of the app? Is it only an app? Is it available via website? Like how I'm going to Vegas, I'm trying to go kick it. What do I do?
Yeah. So we are available. We're a free mobile app on iPhone and Android. Been downloaded over like 1.8 million times, 4.9 out of 5 stars on the App Store. We have a website as well. It's app.discotech.me. We get like hundreds of thousands of unique visitors per month. Most people first use our app to just see what's going on in a city. So like, let's say you have like a bachelorette or a bachelor party you're going to in Vegas in like a month. You go on Discotech and you see like all the artists, playing at the pool parties, the nightclubs, like the theaters, all in one place. So it's just like very easy to like be like, oh, I like this artist. Like, which one should we do? Right. And then we offer 3 types of admissions. So starting with like the most expensive, it's like the VIP bottle service. We like make it really clear, like, here's the table you get, here's how many people, here's how much it costs. So like, you don't have to worry about like negotiating with the promoter and asking if you're getting like the best deal. Like we always just put the best deal forward.
Got it. That's the cabana at Lovely Friends.
Yep.
Exactly. Cabanas, the dance floor tables, the DJ tables. Then we also like help our customers purchase tickets. And a lot of the times we'll have like a promo code or like a discount. So buying a ticket on Discotech is cheaper than buying a ticket directly from the club. So we're saving people money. And like, that's how we like got big, is like we help people save time, save money. Our motto is save money, party smarter. So like, that's what we do. The last piece we do is actually like, in a lot of ways, like our secret sauce. And like, again, probably the reason why we like got like we went like more viral is we offer free guest lists to a lot of the clubs and pool parties in Vegas and also in other markets. And so what a free guest list is, rather than having to like know a promoter at a club, you just got to know Discotech. We're the promoter. You click a button, you RSVP, and then as long as you show up to the club by a certain cutoff time, maybe it's midnight at the nightclub, maybe it's like
3 before 11.
Exactly. 3 before X, right? So you can do that through Discotech, and as a lady, a lot of times our guest list comes with like a free drink or like a free 1 hour open bar or something. So we're doing something extra for the ladies or the clubs, are offering something extra for the ladies. We just make it really easy to get into clubs and save money.
So you mentioned like, okay, so you guys are on Apple, you're on or iOS, you're on Android. And like, so when it comes to like your typical user, like what's that demographic looking like? Are there specific age groups that are specific preferences as far as the type of club that people are able to find on the app?
Yeah. So in terms of like user demographics, it's going to be younger people. Like at this point, it's like mostly Gen Z, right? So like people like 21 to like late 20s. Like that's the age where people are going out to clubs more, going to festivals more. But I'm a millennial, like I'm 39, and people are there's a ton of millennials still on the platform today.
And I know they're using the guest list to get in early. I know all the millennials, they get there before that cutoff time because they leaving by the time the cutoff time is over, they probably leaving.
Yeah, we leaving when it get full.
Yeah.
And I've already had my drink. I've taken a couple of pictures. Now I'm sleepy.
Look,
in bed by 1.
Well, the cutoff is 12. I was leaving at 12 anyway.
Listen, was already leaving at 12. Oh man. So do you guys, so you said you like essentially you guys partner with the clubs, right? Do you ever partner with any artist or any DJs or anything like that? Or is it strictly like the venue?
Yeah, we're strictly like the venue or like the person throwing the party at the venue.
Okay.
So like the festival producer, the venue, like the club producer, that's who we work with. And then for them, like we're essentially one of their promoters. We help them get their events out to our audience, help them fill the tables, sell tickets, fill people through the guest list, get the party going. And then we monetize off commission. So whenever I sell a table or a ticket, I get a percentage. We never charge the customer anything more, but the club is paying us for like just helping them sell stuff. And then they pay us for filling the room with guest lists too, because those people buy drinks at the bar. They get the party started early so that, everyone's having a good time.
Nice.
So basically you all, in a lot of ways, you undercut the old school, basically promoter, the old school typical promoter that would go out and secure all these people to come to the venue, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can think of us as like a virtual super promoter, right? Because we work with clubs like everywhere. So we kind of compete with like the old school people that you would call or text to get a table, to get on a guest list, to figure out like what's happening. Like we are, in my opinion, like the newer we're that promoter, but for like the younger generation, like Gen Z or whatnot.
So with the app, once I download it, do I create an account? Am I able to kind of personalize it a little bit for myself? So like, let's say that I've downloaded the app and I've searched for Vegas and the specific type of club. Like, will it give me any preferences? Like, make me any recommendations based on, things that I've selected in the past? Or like, is it a new experience pretty much every time that I log in?
We try to make the experience like sort of new every time. So like it does, if you're on our Discover, like Las Vegas or Discover Miami page, there will be like a random element of just like which venues or events are featured. Now you can like select and like follow and like certain types of artists or venues. Okay. And then you'll see those like at the top.
All right.
We want it to be fresh where possible, but for the most part, our most commonly viewed page is like our events page, which is just like our event calendar. And that's going to be kind of like, that's just going to show what's happening. And that's like arranged chronologically. So
yeah, well, that makes sense. Like, yeah, pretty much like if I've that being able to like a specific, type of like event or type of venue or artist or, whatever, and seeing that kind of recommended to me as well, versus like I'm going in and it's kind of showing all these things that I would never be interested in. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, so that's it's good to know that I am able to like and be like, oh, I do. This is something that I do like. So that's awesome in itself. So I do like that part of it. So, Derry, you about to say something?
Yeah. So, question for you: what is the one that? So you all have been in business 13. What is the one of the biggest changes? As a former promoter, an old school promoter myself, what is one of the biggest changes that you've seen between then and now of promotion in the nightlife in general?
I would say like literally right now we're going through a pretty big shift in the industry, and it's not like a good one for clubs. So like Discotech, remember we work with clubs, which was like that was our core, that's our original market. We do a lot of like music festivals now, and that's becoming a bigger part of our business. The nightclub market is actually like going through like a really tough time right now.
Yeah.
A lot of clubs are closing. A lot of clubs are really struggling financially. And it really boils down to like Gen Z, like being really different than millennials. Like Gen Z doesn't drink as much, and that's like well documented. Like they're like healthier than millennials than what we were doing.
We the ones that drinking Bumpy Face, Everclear.
Like we'll drink anything, right?
Because they're spoiled, is what it is. They ain't had no problems.
They didn't get the trauma that we did.
Right?
Why buy one drink when you can get a bottle?
Right. But they came in drinking Tito's. We was, like they come in on higher class liquor.
Yeah.
That's very true. That is very true.
Gen Z is not spending nearly as much on like alcohol. So like they're not buying bottles like millennials did, and they're not buying drinks at the bar like millennials did, So like the average alcohol spend for someone Gen Z is like way less than our generation. And it's just like it's not as smart or cool to drink anymore. And that's how clubs make most of their money. And we make a percentage of like the alcohol sales, to some extent. So we're definitely seeing like a big change happening right now. And clubs definitely need to figure out like different ways to monetize to like stay alive, because like that's their biggest revenue stream.
Was that go Scott.
No, I know you were saying that the Gen Zs don't drink, but also I know the millennials were drinkers, and we also were on the dance floor. But are people on the dance floor anymore in the clubs?
Less than they used to be, and again, I don't want to make broad statements about like whole generations.
I will.
We know.
I will. I'll make a project.
You're not being broad. We know they're not dancing.
Yeah, they're not dancing.
They don't dance no more.
They don't approach each other like in the our generation. Like we went to
subtweet each other,
right? To like talk to people, to meet each other. They're doing that all online now, like dating apps, social media. They like don't know how to like. They still go to the clubs with their friends, but it's much less like picking up people and like breaking the ice. It's just it's a different generation,
So with them, we're thinking about Gen Z and thinking about how they essentially find community online. Is there the ability, or is Discotech looking to maybe build community online with that generation? So for me, my real job in real life is community management, is online community management. So I'm always thinking about how people connect together online. So again, knowing that this generation no longer really approaches each other like in person, like how is that something that you guys think about, like how can we get them to talk to each other online? Is like maybe like a Discord or something like that just tells them like so that they can learn more about the app, or maybe figure out like, oh, maybe this is a thing that we can all do together, or anything like that? Or is that something that you guys think about, or maybe you're looking to do, or maybe you already have that in existence right now?
It's definitely something that we would like to do, is to be able to have like a sense of community on the platform. We don't really have much of that currently, but if we can make Discotech more social, more viral, we do feel like that's a good way for us to just get the app out there. Like having someone share the app with their friend is definitely the best way to grow. Like organic growth is way better than having to pay for growth.
Absolutely. Always. Organic growth is always better than having to pay for it, period.
Yeah.
So and do you think that the pandemic was kind of like, where nightlife was kind of maybe wavering before, but the pandemic was like the nail in the coffin for the old school model? of how nightlife went, or do you think it was maybe even after that?
I think the pandemic definitely hurt things, right? So obviously during the pandemic, like it was so bad, like everyone was like getting crushed. No money was being made by the clubs or by Discotech. There was definitely like a rebound. Like when the pandemic ended, like everyone rushed back to the clubs like no tomorrow. So it was like, oh my God, clubbing has like never been better.
We
And
outside.
yeah, like it was crazy. And but then like after that, you know, resurgence happened, like things came back down. And I think, yeah, for COVID, a lot of people stopped clubbing during the pandemic and then like they never came back. And Gen Z is just not the same. Like they just don't go out as much. They don't like mingle as much. And we were just saying like, you know, they don't talk to each other as much in person. Right. So the club is like, it's like, you know, Gen Z is just not the same as previous generations when it comes to that. Social media changed everything, you know?
Yeah.
It did, in kind of like a bad way. Because it's like, it's funny, like we would do tweet ups where, yeah, we would say like on Twitter, like, hey, we're going to meet up at this thing. But it was so that we would get off the internet
we
and
could
be
talk
able
to
to
each
go
other
and see each other and talk to each other versus, yeah, no, we're not. No one wants to see each other. No one approaches each other. Looking someone in the eye is a weird thing. Like all of that. And it's the gift and the curse of social media. Like social media has made us less social, which is interesting in itself. And again, this is my industry. So it's like like I'm teaching people to not speak to each other in person. So like with, I guess like the next question that I had was like, when it comes, we were talking about, you know, the organic reach. So are there any influencers that you've thought about partnering with, or have influencers reached out to you and, you know, to maybe partner and be like, hey, if you can get me in here, then I'll give you guys a shout out or anything like that? Or essentially, how do you guys reach out to these clubs, or the clubs, are they reaching out to you, or is it kind of either way?
Yeah, so with influencers, we certainly work with influencers to try to get like the word out on Discotech. Like the goal there is to get more downloads of our app and to get more like users of the platform. Sometimes we'll do it with trade, like you just mentioned. Like we'll give them like free tickets to shows in exchange for like a blast, or we'll give them a free table to a show. We definitely pay them as well. We typically work with like we don't work with like huge influencers. They just cost too much. So we're working with like micro influencers, smaller influencers. And then with the clubs and the festivals, like we just reach out to them directly. Like we're just like, this is who we are. We want to make you money. You know, we only like, there's no risk. Like we only get paid if we make you money. So like you should work with us. And that pitch usually lands pretty well because it's risk-free. They have nothing to lose.
So do you got, if I'm telling you, if you can get me to the Fire Festival, if it actually happens.
No, I was just gonna ask about that. Was my next question.
I'm like, because at this point, it's just to see the downfall of it. Like I just have to go to the Fire Festival.
So you want to be like the reporter Stacy that goes to like the war, that's sitting there like in the helicopter, like filming everything.
She want to be Geraldo.
I want to be Geraldo. That's exactly it. With Al Capone's tomb, like that's like I want to be like, and we open this up. There's no food. There's no food here. Like, and I'm talking to the people who are paid to go, like they're refugees. And when was the last time that you've eaten? They haven't done this. I love this though, because when I remember it was years and years ago, my best friend wanted to have his like 25th birthday party or something in Vegas. So we knew nothing about Vegas at all, right? And we're trying to figure it out. And this is like, again, years ago. So you're trying to call and look up things. And there was someone that I ended up finding who was like, oh yeah, I can get you guys in here. I can get you a deal there, blah, blah. We ended up not going, like the whole trip got canceled. But this is just one man that I've never met. And I'm hoping that what he's telling me is true. right? And so versus you guys actually being a reputable company. And not to say that he wasn't, but at this point, like again, you have you said 4.9, stars on the App Store, right? So that's awesome in itself. And you said what 1.8 million downloads? Why do I remember that? Look at me.
Yeah. Dude, I'm impressed. I'm impressed.
Somebody's vitamins.
Wow.
Somebody's vitamins are working today because I didn't write any of that down. So again, there's that. Now you're like that reputation is being built. So if I wanted to go to Vegas now, like at least I have a starting point of where to look. Like again, if you've never been, you know nothing. Like I still haven't been to Vegas. I'm still waiting to go. And
to Vegas?
No, I don't want to.
I got married in Vegas.
God doesn't want me in Vegas. Every time that I was supposed to go, something happened and the trip got canceled. God doesn't want me in Vegas. I don't know why. And I'm gonna go somewhere else. I'll find other places to go. Like it's for some reason I'm not supposed to be in Vegas. I don't know why. But hey, there's so many other cities that Discotech also works with. So
LA, Miami.
There's LA. There is you said Miami.
Yeah,
right.
We're in tons of cities. We're also international. We're in like Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal, Bali, Ibiza, places where you can party internationally. Like,
has Russell Simmons tried to book you all for anything in Bali?
No, Bali. I love it though. But even with Toronto though, like that. I mean, and again, if you're thinking about these festivals, people are having festivals in
Carnival.
Shoot, I'm just even thinking about South by Southwest. That's Austin, right? Wait, do they still have South by Southwest?
Yes.
Yeah, it was last. It was last month.
Did I just age myself? Like, do they still do that?
Yeah.
But again, like the festivals are the thing now. People want to get more bang for their buck, if you will, rather than one night of partying for a couple of hours, hopefully having, spending a little bit of extra money and having a weekend of events to go to.
They want more an experience instead of just a party.
Exactly. Exactly.
So what's been the most challenging experience, or what's challenging city to get into? Or was like, we can't get into Philly, man, because Philly is just, I don't know why I chose Philly. Just
not trying to get into Detroit.
Yeah.
Trick said no, and now you can't go to Detroit.
Yeah. Honestly, it was Las Vegas that was the hardest to get into.
Really? Oh wow.
Yeah,
okay.
Because like these are the biggest clubs in the country, and they're just like, why should I work with like a small nobody like you? Like we were super early startup back then, and again, we had to like move to Vegas and like live there and like constantly be like knocking on doors for a while. Also, just like this is random, but Vegas just has more like regulation. Like there's a lot more paperwork, and like people are like worried about like the mob affiliation, and you have to have like a gaming license.
I was going to say that. Like there's, I think from the creation of Vegas, there's just been these rules of how Vegas is done and how you get in. And again, maybe I have watched a lot of mob movies in regards to Vegas, but it's always seemed like you can't just go to Vegas and set up shop, right? You can't just, even with the Ocean's 11 franchise, you can't just open up a casino, right? You can't.
That's the definition of checking in.
So like you realize that for someone who's now trying to come in, and again, there's the old school promoters and how they did things, and now you got these new kids on the block coming in with their phones and all this new technology, and it's that's the new promoter and it's that new generation. So how do you get in there? So I can see that makes sense that Vegas would be a harder place to dig into than any other place.
That's the best place. Yeah.
So basically, after y'all conquer Vegas, you're able to get other cities because it's like, well, I'm already working with Dreas.
Yes.
In Las Vegas, it's like, oh, well, dang, I'm in Cleveland. Well, if y'all working with Dreas already, cool, let's do it.
100%. Like it got like getting Vegas on board. Like again, I had to like live there, knock on doors, shake hands, but once we got those mega clubs on our platform, it was just like a phone call or an email to get like other clubs on board, because they're like, oh wow, like you have all these like much bigger clubs, like it really like validated us to everyone else. So it definitely made it like way easier from there.
So can clubs like promote their events on like not their events, but basically like I got 2 Chainz gonna be at Drea's. Can I just like, hey, I want to blast this out or pad this on the front page? They can do that as well with you, right?
There's an option for that. So I mean, if they want to like blast it out, there is like a fee to blast it out, right? Of course, you know, we work as like essentially marketing, but anything that happens at Dre's, that's already out. Like we do all their events on Discotech. So
Nice.
So if 2 Chainz is there, I can holler at the Discotech and be in there with 2 Chainz.
100%. We got you. I mean, first off, there's like the guest list, but secondly, you know, if there's anything you need, let me know. I got you.
So where do you see Discotech in the next 3 to 5 years, right? Like, especially like when, like I said, again, as we know that the industry is changing or that nightlife is continuing to change. Nightlife right now in 2025 doesn't look the way that it did in 2020, right? So who knows what it's going to look like next year. So like, what are your hopes for like, okay, our next thing that we want to do or our next thing we want to conquer with our app and just continuing on?
Yeah, for sure. So we're really trying to like put our eggs in more baskets, right? Because we see this, you know, our first basket kind of declining a little bit. So we're really like doubling down on music festivals, which is still like going strong. Like people are still going to those. And now we're also branching out into just like like necessarily like party experiences. So we're adding like comedy clubs. We're doing like theater shows like Cirque du Soleil and things along those lines, like Magic Mike, you know, in Vegas.
The Magic Mike.
Yeah, Magic Mike.
Y'all got the Jabberwockies?
I don't think we got them yet, but
they cold, man.
I would be
I'm not. No, they are. Jabberwockies are cold. I'm not there. I'm not.
Like, I would be down. Like I would be absolutely down to like get like that's exactly what we're trying to just put on like other experiences. You know, things. You know, could be for families too. You know, we're really just trying to make it instead of like the app for nightclubs, like nightlife. We want to be like, okay, here's an app for things that you can do at night, not just party, right? There's lots of things happening at night, shows, you know, food experiences,
restaurants, yeah.
Ooh, I like the food experience thing because that's definitely something that I'm starting to see more of, especially here in Dallas. A lot of there's this like blindfold food experience thing that you can go do. Yeah, like totally. It's you know, awakening a different sense or these what was the thing, the Van Gogh experience thing that people were doing, or there's something right now that they have where it's like there's 3 different like trailers, and one is called Coma, one of them is called Flight, and one is called Seance. And like it's this whole thing in darkness and all this blah blah bluey. Point is that these are the things that are going on now, and people want to get those tickets to be able to go. And what you mentioned in comedy shows, it's like, ooh, like that's definitely right now. I think, especially for millennials right now, I think that's what we're going to the comedy show.
Yeah.
Like that's something we definitely want to go to and be able to get a ticket. And even if there's a VIP experience that goes along with that comedy show, like, you know, being able to meet the comedian or whatever. So being able to do not just nightlife, but nighttime events.
Yeah, exactly.
Sweet. As we wrap this up, what is the next step, or what is the next biggest thing that you all said trying to go into festivals, you all are going to this, but what is something that you all are immediately working on within the app that people can look forward to within that of like, hey, we're coming up with this to enhance your experience?
Well, we're trying to make it easier for our customers to just see like all of our deals. So like if you ever open up like Uber Eats or like Postmates, you know, there's that like button you can click on for like deals to see where like the buy one get ones are, or like the discounts are. We really like we know that our customers care about saving money, right? Save money, party smarter. So we're trying to make it easier for our customers to figure out, okay, how can we save you guys money to go out and have a good time?
Yeah, like
Money's tight
Groupon.
right now, you know? Money's tight right now. Everything's going crazy in the markets.
So, like, my last question is, so from someone who went from being a suit, right, from being in corporate America, you and your partners, and deciding, you know what, we're going to try this new thing. For someone else that's out there that's looking to go, not necessarily into your industry, but to jump out of, you know, corporate America and go into business on their own, like, what's one or two pieces of advice that you can give for someone out there who wants to do that?
Oh man, like, again, we made so many mistakes, so I could like talk about this forever. But I would say the first is just like these things take a long time, and they take a lot more like resources than you think to get started. Like, it took us like years before we started making just like a little bit of money, like, and like certainly not enough to like, you know, feed ourselves. Like a lot of these, like, if you don't have like a lot of money stashed up, like you have to go out and like raise money. Right. So like that's not easy. So I'd say like you definitely just have to have like a plan and like an inventory of like, you got to have something to fall back on, because like it's really hard, and like it took way longer than expected for like our business to like even like get the ball rolling. I would say that like, I mean, we totally didn't do this right, but like, I hate saying this because like, you know, money is tight in the beginning. You don't want to like spend money on like frivolous stuff like lawyers and things, but maybe ChatGPT can do this for you now, like using AI, like
AI.
use AI. Actually, you know, I didn't even think about that. Like now I would say like use AI to make sure that when you're starting the company, you're starting it right from like a legal corporate perspective. Because like these things will come back and I like almost certainly bite you in the butt. And like people told us it would, and we didn't listen, and it totally did. Like there are just things that you need to check off a checklist that like no one will ever teach you anywhere, right? So like ask AI, like, hey, I'm starting a business. Like what do I need to do? Like what should like my paperwork look like? What should, you know, if you have co-founders, what should our agreement be like? Like we didn't do any of that. We're just like, let's work together. We're all buddies. Let's make money, and then we'll all be happy. Like it doesn't work out that way.
Like we've seen that in the music industry, right? Just from us, like right. Yeah, none of us are in the music industry, but just artists and groups that we grew up watching, and we've seen what happens when you assume that, oh, we're all in this together. There's three of us. We're going to split it 3 ways, and
people leave, people come in, and like people do different things, and life gets in the way, and you just need to make sure that like that paperwork accounts for these possibilities, because it's not going to go as you assume. Like there's no way.
Okay. So he said, get your ducks in a row. Make sure your paperwork is right. Because what you don't want to happen is for it to bite you in the butt. You think you picked this cool name, and guess what? Somebody else trademarked that name a long time ago.
Make sure your I's are dotted and your T's are crossed.
Right. It's all fun and games until you get that cease and desist in the mail.
Yeah, we've been in lawsuits before, and people have sued us, and it's a nightmare. And there's just all sorts of things that are like not fun. You don't want to be working on. It's not why you started the business, right? Like we wanted to make this easier and fun for people, but like the stuff you don't want to do is like the stuff you really need to do.
But that's good advice though. And I like that those are your 2 things, are the mistakes, right? Of what you've learned from those mistakes. Or, you know, one, it's going to take it's not going to be immediate success. It's going to be costly. It's going to be a bit before you see any type of profit. And then also making sure that your paperwork is in order, because if it isn't, like I said, it's all fun and games till you get a cease and desist.
Yeah, bad things happen, and it's like super painful then.
Yeah, like that's good advice, period. Like I wouldn't ask for anything else. Like I think that's what people don't see, right? Like that's what they don't think about, and what they actually need to hear. And you even said people told you and you didn't listen.
Like I was fortunate to like, just like I was like talking to people who introduced me to other entrepreneurs who were successful. They're older. And honestly, they were just trying to help out a young, another young entrepreneur. They were trying to pay it forward, pay it back or whatnot. And I was just like, nah, I don't need to do that.
I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good. Now you don't know us. And they were like, you'll find out. And like they were right. And like I'm saying the exact same thing they told me now.
I love it. I love it.
Well, Ian, where can people check out y'all socials and check you all out online and plug everything that you guys have going on?
Thank you. I'm just going to ramble off. Our Instagram is at Discotech app. It's Disco TECHAPP. Search for us Discotech on iPhone or Android App Store, and then our website app.discotech.me.
Cool.
Yeah, I need y'all to get the Roots Picnic on there. That's my goal. Is we go out of here the Roots Picnic. I just need a 10%. That's all I need. I'll pay for my own stuff. It's just them prices kind of high.
Yeah.
For that Roots Picnic,
We'll reach out to them, see if we can get a deal for our users.
Yeah. Hey, look, it's gonna be pricey. If you go look at them prices, it's pretty pricey, especially to be in Philly. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. But thank you once again, Ian. And this
Appreciate
has been
it.
Peace.
Thank you guys. Really appreciate the time. Have a good one, guys.
Hey, this cool ass Scott from the I Love 90s Music Podcast. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like it on the SOLC network. You finna get all the real deal on the 90s, the 2000s, and the splash of that 80s. Do it right now, man, and I'll be your friend.